most complex and long-lasting disputes in modern history. It has roots that stretch back centuries, involving numerous peoples and territories. However, the contemporary conflict most notably began in the early 20th century. At the heart of this conflict is the struggle for land and national identity. Both Jews and Arabs claim historical and religious ties to the land known as Israel and Palestine. These competing nationalisms have driven the conflict, resulting in deep-seated animosities. Understanding the origins of this conflict is crucial to grasping its current state. In 1917, during World War I, the British government issued the Balfour Declaration. This declaration expressed support for a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. At that time, Palestine was part of the Ottoman Empire. The intent was to gain Jewish support during the war. However, it also promised to protect the rights of non-Jewish communities in Palestine. Jewish communities welcomed it, while Arab inhabitants viewed it as a betrayal. The declaration set the stage for increased Jewish immigration to Palestine, leading to rising tensions. The end of World War II marked a significant turning point. In 1947, the United Nations proposed a plan to partition Palestine into separate Jewish and Arab states. The Jewish community accepted the plan, though with some reservations. The Arab community rejected it outright. On May 14, 1948, David Ben-Gurion declared the establishment of the State of Israel. This declaration was met with immediate military response from neighboring Arab countries. The resulting conflict, known as the 1948 Arab-Israeli War, ended in 1949 with armistice agreements. The 1948 Arab-Israeli War, also known as Israel's War of Independence, was the first in a series of conflicts that would shape the region for decades to come. This war marked the beginning of a complex and ongoing struggle between the newly established State of Israel and its Arab neighbors. The war began immediately after Israel declared its independence on May 14, 1948. The declaration was met with immediate military response from neighboring Arab countries, including Egypt, Jordan, Syria, and Iraq, who opposed the establishment of a Jewish state in the region. Despite being outnumbered and facing a coalition of Arab forces, the Israeli military, known as the Israel Defense Forces, IDF, managed to defend their nascent state. The IDF was composed of various Jewish paramilitary groups that had been preparing for conflict even before the Declaration of Independence. The war saw many intense battles and significant loss of life on both sides. Cities and towns were heavily contested, and the conflict resulted in widespread destruction and numerous casualties among both military personnel and civilians. By the end of the war in 1949, Israel had not only survived, but had also increased its territory by about 50% compared to the UN partition plan. The newly drawn armistice lines, often referred to as the Green Line, became the de facto borders of Israel. Armistice agreements were signed in 1949 between Israel and each of the neighboring Arab states, but no formal peace treaties were established. These agreements brought an end to the active fighting but did not resolve the underlying issues that had led to the conflict. The war had long-lasting effects, marking the beginning of a long period of displacement and statelessness for Palestinians. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians were displaced from their homes, leading to a refugee crisis that continues to affect the region to this day. The Six-Day War of 1967 was a pivotal event in Middle Eastern history. On June 5th, Israel launched a preemptive strike against Egypt. The war quickly expanded to include Jordan and Syria. Israel achieved a stunning and rapid victory, capturing the Sinai Peninsula, the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and the Golan Heights. The war lasted only 6 days, but its consequences were far-reaching. The capture of East Jerusalem was particularly significant for Israel. The victory resulted in a new wave of Palestinian displacement and altered the geopolitical landscape of the region. In 1973, another major conflict erupted, known as the Yom Kippur War. On October 6th, a coalition of Arab states led by Egypt and Syria launched a surprise attack on Israel. Their goal was to recapture territories lost in the Six-Day War. The initial stages saw significant Arab advances, but Israel quickly mobilized its reserves. The war was marked by intense fighting and heavy casualties on both sides. After several weeks, a ceasefire was brokered by the United States and the Soviet Union. The war paved the way for the Camp David Accords in 1978, where Egypt and Israel signed a peace treaty. While the broader Arab-Israeli conflict was unfolding, the specific issue of Israeli-Palestinian relations began to take center stage. This conflict, rooted in historical, religious, and territorial disputes, has shaped the region's politics and society for decades. The Six-Day War in 1967 was a pivotal moment, bringing the West Bank and Gaza Strip under Israeli control. This shift in territorial boundaries significantly altered the dynamics of the conflict. Palestinians living in these territories found themselves under occupation, leading to increased tensions and resistance. Daily life became a struggle, marked by checkpoints, restrictions, and a constant military presence. In 1987, the First Intifada, or uprising, broke out. This was a significant grassroots movement that saw widespread protests and civil disobedience. It was characterized by protests and violent clashes with Israeli forces, highlighting the deep frustrations and aspirations of the Palestinian people. The Oslo Accords in the early 1990s marked a significant attempt to resolve the conflict. These negotiations brought hope for a peaceful resolution and mutual recognition. However, the Accords faced many challenges and ultimately failed to achieve lasting peace. Issues such as settlements, borders, and the status of Jerusalem remained contentious. The conflict has since continued with periodic flare-ups, reflecting deep-seated grievances. Each new round of violence underscores the complexity and enduring nature of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, a struggle that continues to impact countless lives on both sides. Many individuals have played crucial roles in the Middle Eastern conflict, shaping its course through their actions and decisions. David Ben-Gurion, Israel's first prime minister, was a driving force behind the establishment of the State of Israel. His leadership and vision were instrumental in the creation of a Jewish homeland in 1948. On the Palestinian side, Yasser Arafat emerged as a key leader. As the head of the Palestine Liberation Organization, he became the symbol of Palestinian nationalism and resistance. Arafat's influence extended beyond the battlefield, as he sought international recognition and support for the Palestinian cause, becoming a prominent figure in global politics. Another significant figure is Golda Meir, Israel's prime minister during the Yom Kippur War. Known as the Iron Lady of Israeli politics, her leadership was crucial during one of the most challenging periods in Israel's history. Egyptian President Anwar Sadat later became the first Arab leader to sign a peace treaty with Israel. His bold move at the Camp David Accords in 1978 marked a significant step towards peace in the region. More recent figures include Israeli prime ministers like Benjamin Netanyahu, known for his strong stance on security, and Palestinian leaders like Mahmoud Abbas, who has been a central figure in the peace process. Each of these figures has left a lasting impact, contributing to the ongoing narrative of the Middle Eastern conflict. Their legacies continue to influence the region's politics and the quest for peace. The Middle Eastern conflict has evolved significantly over the decades. Initially, it was primarily a regional Arab-Israeli conflict. However, it has increasingly focused on the specific issue of Israeli-Palestinian relations. The early years were marked by conventional wars between Israel and its Arab neighbors. Over time, these wars gave way to more asymmetrical conflicts, with guerrilla warfare and terrorism becoming more common. The peace process has seen many ups and downs. Agreements like the Camp David Accords, the Oslo Accords, and the Abraham Accords have all attempted to bring peace. While some progress has been made, lasting peace remains elusive. The Middle Eastern conflict, particularly the Israeli-Palestinian aspect, is deeply complex and long-standing. It is rooted in historical claims, national aspirations, and the legacies of colonial and international decisions. Both Israelis and Palestinians have legitimate historical and emotional connections to the land. Efforts to resolve the conflict have faced numerous obstacles, including mutual distrust and political divisions. While the path to peace is fraught with challenges, continued dialogue and negotiation remain essential. By studying its history and understanding its nuances, we can better appreciate the efforts needed to achieve reconciliation and coexistence.